Okay, let's jump right into this. Today, in this explainer, we're exploring something truly profound, a piece of timeless esoteric wisdom that's been quietly passed down through the ages. We're looking at a deeply rooted tradition that directly maps the starry cosmos, the great wheel of the zodiac, right onto our own physical bodies. So we aren't just stargazing today, we're looking inward. We're going to see exactly how the ancients understood the human form as a literal, structural reflection of the heavens. Here's the roadmap for the anatomical descent we're about to take. We'll start with the cosmic body blueprint, make our way from the crown to the shoulders, move down into the heart and torso, travel from the hips to the feet, and finally, look at what it means to walk through fluid time. So, starting off with part 1, the cosmic body blueprint. This is the very foundation of this incredible concept. According to deeply rooted biblical and astrological traditions, the macrocosm of the stars out there and the microcosm of the human form right here, they're not separate at all. They are perfectly intertwined. The secrets of the universe, the grand architectural plans of creation itself, are perfectly mirrored within your very own physical vessel. You are literally a walking, breathing map of the cosmos. Moving into part 2, we initiate our physical descent starting at the very top of our anatomy, the true heavens of the mind. The great wheel begins with Aries, representing the head. It's the spark of the zodiac, exactly where the sun rises. But why the head? Well, look at the physical structure of your brain. Right there in the literal center of your head is the hippocampus. Visually, its physical shape perfectly mirrors the curling ram's horns of Aries. It's like the alignment of the stars is mapped directly to the center of your mind. Next in the zodiac is Taurus, the bull. I want you to reach up and physically feel your neck for a second. Right at the front, you'll find your jugular notch, which moves up to form the neck. In anatomy, a major ligament back there is called the cervix. Now, most of us associate that word with the uterus, but cervix simply means neck or nape of the neck. And fascinatingly, the root of that word literally means horn or head. So the mighty bull's horns of Taurus are linguistically and physically rooted right there in the nape of your neck. Now, think about your own physical structure for a moment. What logically happens right when you get past the neck? How does the human anatomy actually unfold from that single central column? It splits into two, right? You get the twins. This is Gemini. The human body physically divides from a single trunk into two shoulders, which lead down into two arms, and finally into two hands. Gemini represents this literal, structural split into duality that happens right below the neck. That brings us to part 3, the heart and torso. Here, we journey deeper into the earthly vessels and the central, protective cavity of the human experience. Following Gemini, we arrive at Cancer, symbolized by the crab. If you trace your chest just below your neck, you can feel how the rib cage flares out to create this protective barrier. Just like the hard-top shell of a crab, your chest cavity is designed entirely to shield and protect those incredibly vital, soft organs underneath. The anatomical design perfectly matches the astrological symbol. And look at what lies protected inside that cavity, the heart. This aligns with Leo, a fire sign. Etymologically, the word heart is actually a variation of the word heath, a fireplace. This is the literal fireplace within your chest, where the divine spark, the fire of life, is held. This timeless esoteric tradition points out that you can be brain dead, but you aren't truly gone until you are heart dead, because that spark of life is held safely in the hearth of Leo. Now, understanding the spiritual journey mapped out here is absolutely crucial. Think about it. A group of lions is called a pride. Leo happens right before the physical season of autumn, the fall. Thus, we have the ancient biblical wisdom, pride comes before the fall. In our spiritual pursuits, this heart center is where we really have to overcome haughtiness, drop the pomp, defeat arrogance, and check our own insolence. We have to master our ego before we descend any further. After the fall, we hit Virgo. Virgo represents virginity, which in its most ancient esoteric sense just means pure or purification. And what part of the body does this map to? The abdomen. Your intestines, your gallbladder, your pancreas, and your liver. Think about what the liver does. It purifies. It takes in exactly what the body needs for nourishment and violently purges the rest out. It is absolutely awe-inspiring to see this biological design act as the literal purification center of the human vessel, perfectly mirroring that spiritual truth. Drifting down into part 4, we look at the hips down to the feet, the lower structural foundation, and the real heavy lifting of the human body. And this brilliantly illustrates our next sign, Libra, the scales of balance. Just look at the human hips. They act as the exact physical balance point, the fulcrum between your upper body and your lower body. They are the literal scales keeping your physical form upright and balanced against gravity. Right below the hips, we encounter Scorpio. This maps directly to the reproductive members. Much like a scorpion has a long, highly potent tail that can profoundly sting or affect you, this part of the human anatomy holds immense volatile power. Within this tradition, it highlights another massive spiritual necessity, the vital requirement to balance and properly control one's own sexual regenerative energy. Moving below that, we reach the thighs, corresponding to Sagittarius. The symbol for Sagittarius is the centaur, half man, half horse. And what are horses known for? Horsepower for sure, absolute strength. Right here in your thighs sits the femur. The femur is the longest, the heaviest, and the absolute strongest bone in the entire human body. It's the literal horsepower anchoring your physical strength to the earth. This powerful structure builds directly into the next sign, Capricorn, the goat. Capricorn rules the kneecaps, anatomically known as the patella. It's literally a cap you put on the knee. But check out the etymology of the word cab. Originally, it meant a goat, but it also means a 2- or 4-wheeled horse-drawn carriage. It makes perfect, breathtaking sense that your kneecaps, the carriage of your legs, sit directly below the mighty horsepower of those Sagittarius thighs. Which leads us right into part 5, walking through fluid time. We're entering the final, lowest portion of human anatomy, representing the conclusion of our earthly physical structure. I want you to think about the physical laws of gravity acting on your body right this second. If you've been on your feet all day, where does your body naturally retain the most water? Where do you experience physical swelling? It sinks straight down to the very bottom. This maps beautifully to Aquarius, the water bearer. The water naturally pools into the calves, the ankles, and the feet. The human body physically sinks and retains the most water in these lower extremities, perfectly reflecting the pouring out of the water-bearer's vessel into the absolute lowest parts of our form. And finally, we conclude our anatomical descent at Pisces. Pisces is symbolized by the 2 fish. Once again, the physical architecture is completed right where it started, dividing below the neck, with duality. The 2 fish beautifully and perfectly match our 2 human feet at the very base of our structure. The ancients viewed this as way more than just biology. This is profound scriptural and spiritual reality. Drawing on ancient biblical language of the waters above and waters below, tradition states, "You're a vessel put into the fluidity of time into the waters above and waters below." Your completed physical form, from the ram's horns in your mind all the way to the fish at your feet, is simply a cosmic vessel built to navigate the shifting currents of earthly time. You literally carry the entire cosmos within the structure of your own flesh and bone. So the question I want to leave you with today is this. Knowing you are a vessel built from the unified blueprint of the stars and scripture, how are you walking through the fluidity of your own incarnation?